scripted?
Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Hey, Juventini, welcome back to the AJC. It is match day, the big second leg between Juventus and Sporting going down in Portugal. And some fans have PTSD about Juve going into Portugal. But hey, well, I'm feeling good. Ant, how you feel?
Well, it's still only 8:40 in the morning. I had my breakfast. Kind of ate a little too quick because I was trying to check the news. Hopefully that verdict was going to come out, but it's not, which might potentially ruin the show, but it won't. I've only had one coffee, but I'm ready to go. How are you doing, buddy? Let's rock and roll.
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. A lot has happened. It feels like a long time since we've been live again, but obviously I had the weekend, had a packed weekend. Took off for the first tournament of the year.
Life.
Only show up to find out we only have enough because all our buddies bailed. 11
That's
players.
worse than divorce. That's worse than divorce.
But hey, the 11 of us got the job done. 5 or 6 games in 2 days, taking home the cup. We had our other buddies. We put 2 teams in this tournament. We both got the clean sweep. It was nice. I came back to enjoy a wonderful interview with the legend himself, Roberto Bettega. And we got that released this morning. Ryan saying he watched the interview with legend Bettega himself. There's not much you can say about that man other than 20 plus years removed from his last position with the club, which was in a head office role, and his love still shines through. It's wild. Great stuff hearing him talk about Dino Zoff, and he misunderstood the name association game, but essentially said for him Sharea will always represent Juve and be the one name he associates with Juventus. That was great stuff. Just a beauty, man. Just an absolute beauty.
Well, first of all, I'd like to point out, I don't know how you're still walking after playing 6 games in 2 days. I'd be in a wheelchair 100%. Secondly, I'd like to say congratulations to you from the rest of the AJC team and the Army. We know how behind the scenes, how hard you work, and getting one of these interviews was always your goal. And to get the interview with the guy who was your dad's favorite player was unbelievable. So big congratulations to you and to the rest of the team on a great success for us, and hopefully many more to come in the near future and far future.
I very much appreciate. Yeah, we all put in a ton of work, always looking to boost things for the Army out there, and this is hopefully the beginning of many more to come
for you.
Yeah, for all the AJC Army. But it was great stuff. And again, all the positive feedback. Love it. We have much more planned. We will start to drop some names and some hints on things that are to come. But hey, there's a list of great names in the Juventus world that will hopefully be joining us over the next definitely, what are we talking here? 6 months or so. So it's gonna be
a good year.
Great
2023.
Stuff.
It's gonna be a good year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a strong year. So there you have it. Now, the verdict.
Where do we want to start?
We got to talk about this. Obviously, we got.
Is that where
we
want to start?
Yeah, I think we're gonna start right here because.
Okay.
I've really got to get some stuff off my chest, buddy. I really do when it comes to the verdict. It's not surprising, okay, how things unfolded. The fact that, they're so quick to punish and throw out these things in Mickey Mouse fashion. And essentially, it's the opposite of how things should work. It should be slow going at the start for them to figure out, basically, okay, yeah, no, we should punish. This is what has to happen. No, it's the complete opposite in Italy and what's going on, and they were so fast to punish, and now it's an absolute gong show for something that should be dismissed immediately. And I mean, look at how things unfold. Throughout all this. We've got Napoli fan clubs.
Amazing.
Napoli fan clubs, 2 Napoli fan clubs showing up jumping into a hearing
Oh my
to
god.
try and get Scudetti revoked. Now, like,
Oh my
what do you
god.
even say to this at this point?
What I say is, who the hell let them into the meeting in the first place? I blame the doorman. Whoever was working the door that day fell asleep, retiree, whoever it was. Who let them in there? Who put them on the agenda, first of all? That's the problem. And
Yeah,
then, Omar, welcome, buddy. Anything you have to say on this fine morning? You want to jump in here?
I have my video ready for the moment they announce the verdict. I have it ready for like
Oh.
3 months now. That's
Okay.
it. Good
But
morning. How are you guys? Wife beater on. Clear win
we're
today.
we're we're
we're
living the
doing
dream
good.
here.
We're having a little bit of a go at how on earth two fan clubs can interject in a hearing to start things off.
In their
Because
defense, if they let
Italy.
you in the room, why not? Like I blame the clown show that is the whole thing that's going on there, whatever you want to court, for letting them even speak. Like, what are we even talking about here?
Wow, it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, come on. These are fan clubs. I mean, if it was De Laurentiis, then yeah. I mean, it's exactly the same as us, just coming into a Napoli verdict on something, a trial, and just knocking on the door. Hey, we want to say something,
I don't
and
know.
it was totally unrelated to what
And
they're
that
talking
lawyer's
about.
not he's not working for free. Someone paid him to do that. Someone dipped into their life savings to pay that man.
There's
Hilarious.
so much
Mhm.
like just comedic value in this whole scenario. Number one, they're allowed to go in there, like fan clubs, okay, are allowed to go in there, present what they're thinking. They had their own lawyer, and no, it wasn't Jackie Childs. So, anyways, the lawyer and themselves go in there. Jackie Childs is a beauty, and they they go in there. Okay, they want Scudetti revoked. One of the years that they wanted revoked, they were fifth in the friggin' table. And another one that they wanted revoked, Juve didn't even win. So it was like, what are you
Okay,
guys even talking about here?
we need to
Um,
put one out. There's a video that Stay Halma did. So the Stay Halma guy on Twitter, I believe he is the president of the San Diego.
I had him on here. His name's Andrea. He's an absolute
Right.
beauty.
He put out a video on that topic. It's in Italian. So maybe we can get him to do it in English. It is absolutely hilarious. I don't want to give it away here, but maybe I'll repost it from the main. He absolutely dumps on the Napoli fan club, and it is hilarious.
It's pretty funny. It's really really funny. Yeah,
Even
Andrea's an
Napoli
absolute
fans.
beauty. Started his own channel there. It's in Italian, but he's absolutely great. He will be making more appearances on our show as
Mm-hmm.
well. But yeah, he's the president of the San Diego fan club. He's an absolute beauty. I was laughing so hard. It was just great stuff. But nonetheless, the verdict again. This the whole entire time this one seems like an immediate throwaway. It's
Mm-hmm.
done. Like, give the points back. It's done. It's over. Now obviously we've been hearing for a while about the three scenarios: get your points
Mm-hmm.
back, don't get your points back, or the third option, which is reducing the points, and but that goes to the court of like referred to a court of appeals, and essentially a new trial begins for a lesser penalty. This and then there's people thinking about them tying this in with the salary case as well,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of unknowns. The verdict is supposedly supposed to come today. We'll wait and see. Then there's the whole conspiracy about, well, how convenient you've waited until we have a European match to play.
I don't
And
think there's
this
anything there.
there's a lot going on. This one needs to be thrown away. I just still, no matter what ends up happening, I just hope that Juve pushes back in the end, one way or another, because the
Mm-hmm.
damage has already been done.
Yeah. So over here, we would, how would we term it? Especially in the US, they would say, undue hardship, or, when you take points away, you cause undue hardship. So is there an avenue for Juventus to sue on damages like that? If we get the 15 points back and we're back in Champions League, what are the damages? You know what I mean? That I think that'd be hard to argue in court. But the real problem here for the FIGC, the way I read it, and again, I'm not a lawyer, my limited law knowledge is going to come out here. But the way I see it, they're in a big heap of trouble if this gets annulled, so without being sent back to the Court of Appeals. The salary maneuver case, one of the foundations of it is the Article 4 of the Italian FA, which is fairness, right? Not Article 31, which is fraudulent activities. If this one gets thrown out, FIGC may not have or has one less leg to stand on in the salary maneuver case. So they could be great news for us, but they really rushed this one, and I think they didn't dot all their I's and cross their T's here. Idiots.
Yeah, it's a clown show. Make no mistakes about it.
Wasn't it obvious that knee-jerk reaction of minus 15 been done like 1,400 pages? They've gone through it in 2 hours and made their decision. I mean, it was doomed to explode in their face at some point.
14,000
We knew
pages.
it. We knew it. We talked about it millions of times. They have no legs to stand on, and now, they're eating what they cooked, and they deserve it. We might get the announcement, the verdict, while we're on the show, so we'll keep you updated, of course. But it is a clown show. Yeah, it's not a surprising clown show. I mean, is anyone surprised of what's going on? And
No,
might have
none of
been
it
a
is
blessing in disguise.
surprising.
Do you think it's a blessing in disguise in some way? I mean, yeah, there is a reputational damage, but maybe it caused Juve to pick it up, and maybe if they stayed up top and didn't get the verdict, the season wouldn't have gone as well as it's going right now.
I don't know.
Maybe they needed a boost, some sort of boost to unite everyone together. It was either that or they all crumbled.
It was a boost in that sense, in sense of like forcing the camaraderie and them to be united. But I don't know necessarily if I could say, like, if all that isn't going on, do we maybe make a coaching change at the time when we needed to and whatnot? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of variables to throw in there, but blessing in disguise probably only from the sense of how united the team got and bonded and really grew the us against the world mentality. But the FIGC is just an absolute joke. Now we're hearing about Chine resignation and whatnot today. I saw reports of them trying to retain their dignity. What dignity? What dignity is the FIGC talking about here? What are we talking about? That ship has sailed. Not only has it sailed in how they deal with things, okay, this goes beyond this case. Racism, like everything. Dignity. That ship is sailed. It is so far gone, they can't even see it, for Christ's sake.
Without Juve, even if you take Juve out of the equation.
Yeah, take Juve out of the equation. The dignity. What are we talking about here? Every way they deal in every situation is an absolute joke. Out of the top 5 leagues, even if you go outside of the top 5 leagues, I don't ever think I can think of another federation that has as many ridiculous scenarios come up. I don't think I could think of one federation.
Normally it's just the teams.
They just don't deal with it. I mean, there's a reason why we know who Ravina is and who Javier Tebas is, was doing basically the same thing to Barcelona right now. And I have no idea who's in charge of the Premier League. No idea. Because they don't talk about it. They don't do shit about it. Even Man City, we know they have something going on right now, some judicial court stuff. But there is no verdict. There is no nothing. They're dealing with it internally and in closed room, and you haven't heard anything about it. If Man City played in Italy, I mean, they would be in court all the time. They'll get points deductions. They'll get demoted to Serie B, and they couldn't focus on anything but that. But they do it mostly in Italy.
Yeah, Italy's it's a big political monster, right? There's a reason why no government there has lasted for 2 years since World War II. Think about that.
Yeah.
it's a gong show. I think there's like 30 political parties. Politics plays a big role in everything, football, life, and in all of it. Um, I really hope now the FIGC can get a big for me. At this point, but I really hope that Juventus can win this and they can use this as a reset with the FIGC, with the main teams, the league. The whole thing needs a reset. We
Yeah.
can't continue on. We can't continue on with the league and the government investigating teams for against rules that don't exist in terms of plus Valenza and capital games. Like, what are we even
Now,
talking about here?
this is a good segue into all the stuff that was coming out with Luciano Moji. Because obviously Moji
Mm-hmm.
went into report, whatever. He's got 170,000 taps or whatever, 25 contain Juventus and whatnot. But everybody's asking why? Like, why now? Why'd you wait so long? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What was the point of Moji doing it while Juve was dominating? No point. No point.
Mm-mm.
There's no point in him doing that when Juve's on top. But now all of
And
a
he was
sudden,
he was in
witch
jail
hunt,
too.
witch hunt after witch hunt after witch hunt, and with people failing to see the bias that's going against Juve, Chihuahuas out there want to yip and whatever, and now all of a sudden with the Champions League semifinal upon us, I have to see Milan and Inter fans stroking each other all over the timeline and whatnot because they're all of a sudden in this love fest. But where was the love for Juventus? The fact that we didn't make semifinals, we made two finals and went up against two of the best teams in the world. There was no support from Italy. So
Yeah.
that's what I think about anybody else and why I will not support anybody else. In a perfect world, both teams are unable to compete and the final is decided on the other side of the bracket. All right, for all I care. But Moji stuff, very, very important right now to put even more added pressure on FIGC. Again, them wanting to save face, talking about dignity. Boom. Moji laying all this on the table. Absolutely beautiful to show all those doubters out there. Everyone saying that the people that believed in Farzapoli or whatnot are, the same flat earthers, all that, whatnot. No, nonsense. It's right there on the table for you. And you hear way more incriminating stuff than was ever put forth on anything Moji said in any tapes and whatnot. And this is great timing so that they can lay it all in front of the FIGC. And I think pressure is mounting from the opposite end. I look at this at Juve's in the stronger position right now currently, and this verdict is crucial to it because of it. But what Moji's doing, it makes sense now, and I'm glad it's happening, to be honest. What are you guys' thoughts on what he's doing?
Omer?
Yeah, in terms of Calciopoli, I mean, we've talked about it in the group chat. I kind of had enough of it. It's in the far history right now. I mean, it's been, 17 years? Something like that. I don't care about it anymore. I don't want to deal with it. But if there was a good time to do it, because in our previous banter, he was in jail and then we're doing fine. And right now, where everything, floats, let's call it floats about Juve, like you said, I agree. It's a great time to bring it all up. It won't do anything. I don't think it will do anything. I don't think Juve should go to court on these issues or anything. Just lay it out there. People will make up their own
Exactly.
minds.
It's not about overturning what went down. It's
Mhm.
about everything that's going on right now and the bigger picture. And him laying it out, great time. Great
Yeah,
time.
for me, this was just the Juventus spin doctors doing their work 3 days, 4 days before the verdict was supposed to come out. That's all it was. If anyone thought that something new was going to come out or this was going to reopen the case, no. We all know that that's not going to happen. Was there anything new? No. Are we
And
going to
this
get
is
those
the
credits
thing.
back? No.
FIGC can't. They can't literally go back. Like, they could not afford that to happen. And I think
Well,
this is
statute of limitations.
100% them, like Juve, Moji, letting it be known that,
yeah.
hey, you got no leg to stand on. The witch hunts have to stop, and you can't afford this battle, and you can't afford to go back and overturn something that happened, even though it should. It should happen. So it's great from Moji. I love everything he's doing, to be honest. B1897. You could still get this Icons shirt from a couple years back. I've seen some of the classic football shirts sites have it. You could still find it. It's a tough find though, but a beauty. Now, Milan and Inter, yeah, will put me to sleep in the first 10 minutes. Worst semifinal in Champions League. Yeah, it
League's
is
over.
what it is.
I put it in the group
Grazie,
chat yesterday.
Moji.
It's over.
I'm not. I could care less about those sides. Now,
I got hedges. True.
our battle today with Sporting. First off, everybody in the live chat, you two here, how you guys feeling? You guys feeling confident about this one? You feeling good going into it? A little uneasy based on our last few performances.
Honestly, I haven't even thought about it. All this other stuff going on, I haven't really
I
even
know.
thought about that there's an actual game today. I did look at some betting lines last night and come up with my predictions, but to be honest, no. I was waiting for this other news to break, and I haven't really got around to it.
The
Yeah,
nerves will probably kick in, come
Oh, yeah,
around
100%.
kickoff and whatnot. Omer, how you feeling
2:45.
going into this one?
based on Max's presser and the way it looks right now, I think we're in for 90 minutes of suffering, literal suffering
Yep.
of just defending, trying to get out the counterattacks. I mean, they did pretty much dominate in the previous game at home, but it also seems like they kind of ran out of steam, even in the league. So I think we'll go through. I don't think it's going to be anything easy or pretty for that matter. Just hang in there. If you can drink while you're watching, best for you. And
Yeah.
and that's about it. That's what I can say.
It'll be interesting to see both teams slipping up in their last games, dropping points. Obviously, I think Sporting had a draw they had to fight for, a late draw. Juve, obviously, we know what happened in Sassuolo. Absolute brutal display. Sassuolo, their match for Juventus. We'll talk a bit about Sporting going into this one. Same typical injuries they had to deal with before. Brancanca's been a long-term absentee with a cruciate ligament injury. Paulinho and Cabral miss out with their problems. St. Just came off in the first leg against Juve and missed the weekend's game. He's going to be like a game-time decision for them. Diamonde should be continuing at the back with Coates and Reis. And Ugarte. Ugarte is the big one because he's the midfielder that kind of is their glue, and he's going to be in there today. Okay, so he's going to be in there today, and we will see probably a different Sporting and with his introduction back into the starting lineup and whatnot. So it'll be interesting because we saw what happened the first time we played them, and man, that was tough for Juve. We squeaked one out. We squeaked this lead that we bring into Portugal out. This is going to be a tough one today. For them, 3-4-2-1, as expected. No real changes other than Ugarte essentially coming in. Yeah, we'll see. For Juve, this is about as healthy as we've been all year. Keane's the only absentee. Illing Jr., Barnechea not in there, obviously, but that's just more roster related. And starting lineup: Szczesny, Danilo, Bremer, Sandro, Quadrado, Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, Di Maria, and Vlahovic.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad, Omer. Okay,
So-
hang on a
Don't
second.
give me that. It's not that bad. Come on.
Let's go right to the elephant in the room and address it. That's Alexandro coming in. Gatti's been on a great run. How do we feel about that one, boys?
Horrible.
No issue with it.
Okay, get into it, boys.
Omer, please.
Well, the negative one gets to go first.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I mean it's Sandro. I'm never comfortable when Sandro is there. Yes, he's been pretty reliable this season,
I don't need to
but
say anything.
it's not about reliability all the time. I mean, it's a general feeling
Yes, it is.
when someone gives you no, it isn't. It isn't. Trust me.
Sorry,
I
this
mean,
is your time. I apologize. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Mr. Positive. You want to go first, and then I'll shit on everything
Uh,
you have to say.
yeah, let's do it that way. That's better.
Okay.
He has been reliable this season. Our best back three has been the three Brazilians when we play in the back three. I'm not saying anything against Gatti. I'm just saying I have no issues with Sandro being in there. For me, there's no issues in a game like this.
I
Okay. I
think
Gati's doing great. I mean,
He's been fine.
the atmosphere he brings, the enthusiasm he wants, it's something we've been missing. It can't only be Danilo. Bremer is kind of a silent guy. We
Hmm.
need that type of mentality in there, and he's been doing fine. I mean, what's he done that's been bad or cost us goals recently? Sandro
Can
is
can I
coming back from some sort of an injury, straight into the lineup. Don't be surprised if the Chile will be there too.
do you think Max may be worried about that? I fully agree with everything you said there about Gatti. Do you think Max may be worried about Gatti's enthusiasm getting the better of him and him pushing up too much, leaving those gaps behind him that they could expose? Do you think
No,
he's
no.
looking at the back three, nice and steady? We're going to see a lot of pressure. Let's everybody stay home. We know Juventus is going to sit in this one. We know that.
Look, I've seen Danilo and Sandro push way more up high than Gatti
Okay.
did. So that's part of the role, I believe. And the left hand defender should go further up.
Hmm.
We've seen it both with Sandro and Danilo. But that unit is good. I mean, we have to deal with speed against Sporting. Gotti is doing fine. Bremer doesn't need it that much because in the center, Danilo is doing fine. Sandro has problems. And their guy, I think Trincao will play there today, but Edwards was also a pain in our ass in the last game because of his speed and dribbling. And Sandro doesn't do well against those type of defenders, those type of attackers. So that's why I'm worried. Gotti is doing better than him speed wise, physicality wise, in the air. I mean, we've been great in the air since Gotti came in.
That I will concede that point. That's a good point.
I am not as concerned at the back as I am with the feeling that one goal, regardless of who we play in the back, isn't enough, and our offense
Hmm.
needs to see
Yeah,
us through
yeah.
this one. So whether it's Gatti, whether it's Sandro, I think a part that will always play in, I'll always go back to Danilo's interview where he himself says he's not as comfortable on the left side and wanting to play right side. The only way that happens for him in this setup is with either De Chilio or Sandro playing that opposite side. Sandro or Gatti, for me, I'd still go Gatti, and I'd still take the risk of Danilo playing on a side he maybe doesn't prefer. But for me, it's more going in advance. There's a lot of shouts in the live chat about Kostic not being in form and maybe not going with him to start this game. How do you guys feel about that one? Because it is laid
What's our
out as a 3-5-1-1.
what's our
Cost
options?
Yeah,
The Shilio.
exactly.
That's it. Ealing isn't called up, so we have only the Shilio. I won't say
Mhm.
he's been, bad or awful when he played there, but still,
I
he
think
doesn't
the
offer too
option would
much.
be 3-4-2-1, and you get
Yeah.
Chiesa. You
You
get
know what I
Chiesa.
would do? You know what I would do? I would probably let Quadrado out. If Kostic isn't there, I don't want Quadrado in there. I mean, he's offering nothing. I would play Gatti, Bremer, Sandro, and put Danilo on the right. And then you can maybe shift to a 4-3-3 in some way if you need to, and it gives you more options without substitutions.
Yeah.
But some of our guys aren't performing recently. Kostic, Di Maria, Quadrado. I mean, those guys are not providing right now.
Our key guys have not been our key guys. And in the offensive phase, all of them have not been themselves, and they're not gelling, and it needs to pick up for
But you
sure.
can't. But you can't bench them now. Like, what are we even talking about? They have to
No,
play
not
this
about
game.
bench. I think that was more of a against Sassuolo. It was more of a Allegri instructions than the guys themselves because they tried to play long balls all game long. If you try to play
Oh,
long balls with
yeah.
Vlahovic and Milik up front, I mean, no wonder you're not scoring. That's not the way to go. So maybe it will change today, and Di Maria is more of a ball leader and he can help building rather than just put it upfield. So maybe it will be better for us. I
Can
don't
we
want to
get
say that.
confirmation? Did Ilan get called up to this game?
No,
No, he didn't. No,
I
he
just
didn't.
said Illing and Barnechea not on the
Okay.
list, and Keane is
Someone
the
was
one
asking.
that's injured, so they're out. Um, yeah, he's not an option. This is it is what it is. But Kostic, even if you take him out of the equation, like for guys not performing it to their best, all of our offensive guys, Di Maria has been flat as of
Mm-hmm.
late too. He's got to have a game for us. Like we're
Kostic.
gonna need more than this one goal, I feel. And Max's words are kind of what everybody, I know you guys were hinting at too, saying, hey, buckle up, strap on your seatbelts because this is going to be a bumpy ride. Everybody planning on us just dropping back and right out of the gate and trying to weather the storm. But my fear is that we're not trying to weather the storm typically when you go away from home for 10 to 15 minutes, but we could be in for a long haul here. You guys think that's going to
Gotta
be the
score
case?
first. Gotta score first. Have to score
Gotta score
first, and
first.
then if they, I understand we go into a shell. For me, this game is going to come down to our second team. When those 5 subs get used, our 5 subs are way better than theirs, right? Once that switch happens, whether we have to take control of the game to get a goal or take control of the game to shut it down, it's going to come down to the 60th to the 90th minute. Get that first goal, and then once we get to that 65th minute, our subs are going to have to play better than theirs. That's it. And they should.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind, I mean, it's not very reliable, but Di Marzio said that Chiesa, he said it today. Usually he says the day before, and it's just not true. But he said that Chiesa might start and we'll go with the 3-4-3. There is a chance of that, and then we're mimicking exactly their lineup. So that would be interesting. I think it worked better last time around than when we played Fiorentina and it was horrible. But there is a chance it might happen, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, the big thing there is it's not so much even just getting the guys on the pitch, but it's how we use them. Because the
Mhm.
last time we saw Chiesa out there with Kostic, it was a mess. It was an absolute mess, and the two of them were occupying the same space, and it took a while to break free of that. 3-4-2-1, where you get him a little more central, a little closer to Vlahovic too to play off of. I think it can be good. I think that could help us, but we gotta see what happens. If Chiesa ends up coming in, okay, I'm down for it. I'm down for it. But again, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks we have because even when our top guys are in there, chemistry comes into play. There seems to be a lack of chemistry, a lack of shared understanding in attacking. I don't know how you could be this deep in the season and just not have. And I get it that there's been injuries, all this and whatnot, but this is why I say we're a little more tipping the scale to complete freedom in attack as opposed to having some structure and rigidity to what we do. There's people that hang on to all the quotes they see all over social media about managers that say, oh yeah, you got freedom in the final third and whatnot. But it's different. It's a lot different because their roles are clearly defined and established. And for me, this is what's coming back to haunt Juve is the roles. Some of the roles at times don't quite make sense based on what our opponent is doing. Di Maria, for some matches, it's great when he's operating in that free roam role where he can drop back, pick up the ball, and make stuff happen. But at other times, it makes absolutely no sense. And we need him actually further beyond to be the one making the damage because he's got no outlets at times when he's dropping back to do that. Like I see when he's coming back, it's great when he has guys making those runs, making the movement. Without Chiesa in the lineup, there's not a whole lot of movement you're really looking for. Miretti at times, but Miretti hasn't been in the lineup either.
And
So
that's a problem.
for me,
That's a problem.
the roles. Miretti, would anybody play Miretti in this game off the hop for Fagioli?
No,
No?
Mhm.
no, not
Did
not even
anybody
Max.
feel a certain way about Fagioli breaking out into tears after his error against Sassuolo?
I thought it kind of become, a chicken out of a chick. I mean, it was just a small incident. Camera focused on him, and it became this huge debate on Twitter. And I don't know why. I mean, are you surprised? The new generation of players in the past 10 years needs a bit more babying and a bit more caring, and it's not like the hard-nosed guys you remember from the '90s who don't cry and everything happens only backstage. I'm not surprised. I mean, I've seen players cry everywhere on stuff that seems ridiculous, and some cry when Di Maria cried when he scored in the World Cup final. I mean, it happens. That's the new generation. I don't make a lot out of it. He could have done it in the locker room, fine, but does it mean anything bad about him?
I don't have a problem with the tears from an emotional point of view or anything like that, passion, whatever. But for me, the first thing that came to my mind is this kid's got way too much weight on himself for what
Probably.
he's trying to do and whatnot. That's the first thing that popped to my head is, and usually when you play like that, and when the rest of the team isn't really firing and there's struggles offensively and stuff, like, I don't know, but Moretti for me opens up avenues in the attacking avenue. I'm not saying a comparison between these two, but I feel like Moretti is kind of that guy that maybe should be used a little bit more for us to gain space in the final third and help things out there because he can get into great positions. What happens there, of course, is hit and miss, and it's a tough little flex. But
But
Fagioli
it only
himself, I
works
have
when he
no
was a
problems with him,
substitute.
but I feel like he's got too much weight on himself right now. If you're going to break down at one error in a game where the entire team has played awful, and it was an error, but it is what it is. You got it wrong on whatever he's trying to do outside of the boot clearance, whatnot. But to break down like that, he is playing with so much weight on himself. That's usually not good for a player and kind of usually hurts them in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, I can relate to some degree. Yeah, I mean, it's the club of his childhood. He's been a fan of the club, and seeing the team playing that game, that that mistake probably cost them the game. And there are two options because he couldn't hold back the tears. So it's either going to the bench and crying or running down to the locker room and crying, which we won't see. We only see him leaving the stand. So we would assume he's angry, like Ronaldo used to do. So if that's our two options, I'd prefer to do that on the bench than run away back to it was the red card. It was just a substitution. No reason to run to the back.
Yeah. Here's the thing: Fagioli, complete midfielder. Moretti is like an attacking mid. Here's the thing: when we've seen Moretti at his best, he's actually playing out of the Mezzala role.
Mhm.
When he plays as that second forward, kind of what Di Maria is doing now in that role, he's not as effective as when
Mhm.
he has been coming from the Mezzala, coming deeper and being able to run into plays and make longer runs. So you have a bit of a dilemma there. The other thing is too, I feel like when we play with that role in general, our striker, I don't care who it is, has nobody to play with.
Zero.
Kostic too wide,
Zero.
Quadrado too wide, midfielders just support, barely get close to him, and usually Di Maria is free roaming with our midfielders. They're
That's
so
interesting.
isolated.
That's interesting because what we see in training is everything but what we see in matches. When we see the training videos, they always practice short passing and usually play. They don't work on long balls. We don't see that in the videos. They don't work on through balls. But when they play, they're so far apart from each other. If you look at our wingers, everyone is glued to the touchline. They're not coming in. They're not changing position with the strikers. Now go watch Real Madrid training, and you see exactly what they train on. You see it on the pitch later. If you watch Bayern, they work really hard on the shape, and then when you see them play, they are physical beasts because that's what they work on. And I don't see any correlation between what Juve are doing in training to what we see on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. The Fagioli thing, like I say, everybody's got to calm down. I'm not saying I love Fagioli, okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm saying it's a sign. And what's interesting enough is, look at that Roberto Bettega interview I just did. I asked him about his favorite goal. And his answer was amazing. It was the goals against Milan. Why? Because it proved to himself that at that young age, it didn't matter how many people were in the stands, 70,000, 80,000. He could focus on what he had to do and get the job done. And that's when he kind of started to believe. It's wild. So the tears, I don't care from a man-up point of view or an emotional side point of view. But what I'm saying is, this kid's got a lot on himself up here. And I am a little weary of that going into a huge second leg game for Juventus. That's all I'm saying.
But that comes, with the applause comes the pressure. I mean, if someone suddenly becomes a top player, go look at Mbappe at Holland, they also get, a lot will be hanging on them. And every match, all the fans want to see how Fagioli is doing and praying he'll score and applauding him and uploading videos. And, he has 1 million followers on Instagram suddenly. The pressure comes with the glory. I mean, you can't separate the two, especially at that young age. So I'm not surprised. Maybe Max need to understand that and do something to take the pressure off him a bit. But regardless,
it's not going to go away. Like, that's the thing. It's not going to go away.
Add pressure.
Good that he's learning it, but it's good that he's learning it now at a young age.
No, put more pressure on him. You start him today, and you play him for 90 minutes today. You get off that bench, kid, and you get your ass out there, and you're going to start today, and you're not going to make any mistakes, or else you're going to sit back down. You put more pressure on that kid to play what he can handle it. Okay, he made a mistake. He'll be fine. Listen, he'll be fine. He is one of the future legs of this club. He'll be fine. Tears on the bench, whatever. He's just a kid. I'm not going to say, everyone's waiting for me to say, well, back in my day, if you cried on the bench. No, it's a different time. Whatever. He'll be fine. Get him to start. You put him back out there. It's like Berto in the NFL. Quarterback throws an interception. What do you do with the next play? You get him to throw that ball. You put him back out there and he throws the ball. You got to put it back in the game.
And Max always does it. When someone gets criticized, Max intentionally plays him because he wants him to shake it off. So now we will see Fagioli, and he will be great today.
Yep. And I'm just saying, again, I'm weary of it. Would I start him? Yes, of course.
100%.
Of course. But I'll be keeping eyes on him. And I hope he has the game of his life today. I hope the whole team does. And I actually do think he'll have a strong, strong showing. But I'm just saying, this is what goes through my head when I see that. I don't care about the tears. Everybody's going back to, oh, this guy's cried and whatever. And I saw it all on the timeline. I don't care about any of that. It's just about the pressure of these young guys to perform. And it's one more thing that they have to do. We're not going away from it either. What? We want to introduce 8 or 9 Juve young players over the next year. Romeo Gresti said what on our post-match show, the last show he made it? It's going to be a weak mercado, not for Juve, for Italy. Get used to these young guys. And there's probably going to be more reactions like this. It's fine,
and there are things to do.
It's how they react to the pressure and go down into these moments. This, for me, is key because for so many years, we've heard the argument that Juve can't go into these young guys. And it was always associated that you can't succeed while having all these young guys in your team. That's why this is such a critical moment and a critical point and bigger than what most people are making of it. I don't care about him crying in a sense, but it's the pressure that's on there. I want to see the reaction. That's what's more important to me. So it shouldn't be brushed off and everybody just get into full defense mode because it's Fagioli and we all love him. It's all good. We keep things level no matter who the player is. But we can't brush it off. We need to see the reaction. We need to see what happens here because this is critical because this is not only the future but the present of Juventus. This is where we are currently at. These guys are going to have to battle through all this. So it's going to be key. It's going to be key.
And
it's
just
not-
so I
it's
don't
not
look
the
like
end
a
of the day.
homer, just so I don't look like a homer, I already put money on a Fagioli anytime assist at plus 1,000.
Nice.
Boom.
And there are tons of things you can do. I mean, they have a psychiatrist working with the team. Remember Bonucci went to a psychiatrist almost during that 10-year run. Bonucci went to a psychiatrist on a regular basis because he needed that to be able to perform. And I'm sure Fagioli is getting help. And tons of players are using shrinks to, help themselves keep their mind focused. So
Well, each club has one now, right? The sports psychologist, pretty much every club
If
has
this
one
guy works in J Medical, I don't trust him. Now,
Good point.
personal one. Personal.
now,
now. Good point.
key numbers going into this one. Both teams have only one win in their last 4 games across all competitions. Okay.
Juggernauts.
Sporting only 3 victories in their last 7 home games in all competitions. Juve have only 9 away victories all season. Only
Out of
2
how
of
many?
those in Europa League.
I think they're
Juve.
9-7 on the road. 9-8.
Juve have lost their last 2 visits to Portugal. There's your key stats. It's time for the prediction challenge.
You forgot
Final
one.
score. All
Sporting
right.
Sting. That's the other stuff.
2 tiebreakers. I'm going to kick things off.
You better, because you keep stealing mine and Omer's.
We'll steal yours.
Juventus, Sporting, full-time score today, 1-1.
Oh, that pays
1-1.
plus 550.
Final. Juve obviously going through on aggregates. As far as goal scorers, I'm going to say it's the crazy horse getting Juve's goal. So Rabiot scores it for Juve.
Interesting stuff.
There will be interesting to note too, Danilo and Bremer, I believe it's them two, on another yellow will miss the first leg of the semifinal.
They
Danilo
don't
and
reset
Bremer.
after this leg.
No.
And I
They
think
also
today
miss
we
the
will
quarterfinal.
see 5 yellows, 6 yellows between the two sides today.
And who's the referee? You didn't give us the referee.
I
No,
got
I'm
you.
going 5
Yeah,
yellows.
I got you if you want it.
Okay,
Hit it.
so wait a minute. I'm gonna add another stat. In Europa League, so far you have considered only 1 goal out of 5 games against Nantes in the first one. So I think that trend is going to continue.
Nice.
And I think the game will be tied at 0-0 and you will go through.
0-0.
I didn't even
Omer.
write down what the 0-0 was because I thought there's no chance of this not having gold in it. Okay, so
And
anything else, Omer?
I need tiebreakers. So I'm gonna guess Perini is starting today. That's my tiebreaker.
Okay.
And there will be 1 missed penalty. Don't know who,
Okay.
but someone is going to miss the penalty.
Ooh, okay.
So you're trying to call one of the most boring second legs of all time, is what you're saying.
No, because Max just gave me any reason to feel like you were going all out. And I can
No,
I'm pretty
gung-ho.
I
sure
didn't say-
Max said Chesney and Sandro are guaranteed starts though yesterday.
Okay, so I'll change.
Yeah, like he literally
Was
said Chesney and Sandro are starting.
was it Chesney?
I'm pretty sure it was Tech and
It was-
Sandro are starting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So got my first one wrong.
Great start.
I have to wait and see for the others.
All right.
Anth?
All right. So Lucci was asking earlier about Di Maria anytime goal is plus 420. Lucci, there you go. So the referee today is a young Frenchman, Francois Letessier is his name. He's done 139 League One games, 13 Europa League games, and 11 Champions League games. He's been around.
Doesn't sound so
He's not a
young.
card happy referee. Again, I don't see this guy being an issue. So, but again, like Lou says, you can never trust the French. But that's Lou. That's not me. That's Lou who said that. In terms of some bets, 1-1 plus 550, 2-2. You don't think there's gonna be a lot of goals? 2-2 is plus 1700. I didn't put any money on that, but I did put money on Juventus money line plus 220. Like, come on, straight up win. What are we even talking about here? This is the actual parlay I made, and this will also be my predictions. Ready, Al? So Juve money line, but I'll put a score on that at 2-1, right? 2-1 Juve. Halftime draw. Rabiot to score.
All right.
Plus 4,800.
Way to
Juve
copy
money
me.
line. Well, I put my bet in last night, so you want to know
Way to
something?
copy me on the Rabiot goal.
Boom.
You guys all
That's
heard
how
it
it
here.
That's
Boom.
how it feels.
I put my bet in yesterday morning. So boom.
Remember, Fagioli assist plus 1,000 anytime assist.
All right. The
Right.
predictions are in. Everybody in the live chat, let's fire away yours. Let's see what we got here. We got 1-0 Vlahovic to score. All right.
I really
2-2.
like Omer's prediction. I
2-2
love it.
tonight from
0-0.
Ryan Rabiot and Sandro as the goal scorers, assist from Fagioli and Di Maria. Okay. The pressure is on Juventus today and not on Sporting. Everyone expects Juventus to win against Sporting. So the pressure is on us. Anybody disagreeing to that on the panel? Is the pressure all on Juve? I think so.
Juve's not even the
Yeah.
favorite in this game.
They aren't the favorite on the betting lines and whatnot, but
They're the
No,
favorite to go
we're-
through, though.
we're,
Not the favorite to
we're
win.
pressure's on us to go through for sure.
When was the
Sure.
last match Juve were on the side who had more pressure? Doesn't it feel like it every match? I mean, we kind of got used to it.
2-1 Sporting. Juve go through on pens from Animesh. Wow.
PSG, Omer?
2-0 Vlahovic, Di Maria.
No, we needed
Oh,
that.
PSG.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see what we got. We got Ahmad coming in here. Super chat, much appreciated. Thank you very, very much for the donation there. What do we have? We have to win tonight. Allegri should find a solution no matter what. It is really a sensitive time for the club and fans with all the BS going on. We have to win. We have to get through this. Make no mistake about it. So we'll see what happens. Let's see what else we have for predictions. 1-1 full-time goal from Chiesa. Equalizer in the 89th minute. Wow.
That's a death sentence.
Wow. Let's see what happens. So is there any more news on the 15 points decision? We're waiting for the decision, essentially. That's where it is. All hands on deck. If you're not following us on Twitter, Instagram, whatnot, make sure you head over there because the guys are doing a great job tracking all of it. All right. Everybody, we're not done just yet. You have an opportunity to get your Storm the Barn questions in. We're going to talk a bit about Roberto Bettega, man. That interview, that was pretty damn cool. He had some pretty damn cool stuff to say. I want to say again, big shout out to the Juventus official fan clubs, North America. He happened to be in Toronto. What was epic is that he was actually surprised the fan club the day before. It's sad that it ended up being such a bad game, but he surprised them for the Sassuolo watch party and just showed up. So imagine being there with the fan club at a watch party and all of a sudden Bettega walks through the doors to sit down and watch a Juve game with you. Absolutely wild stuff. But
And I believe there's a dinner tonight that you could buy tickets for. I think there's something going on tonight at the Toronto club with him as the guest.
that
we
was
should send that.
then the day after because I interviewed him right before. So that was his legacy award, and he was receiving that from the fan club, and they had a dinner
That
and
was the
everything.
dinner.
It was
That was
great stuff. Great stuff. But hearing him talk about like all his years back then and just, from 9 years old being with the academy. Pretty wild. No other Italian team, he said, forget it. So that's what made him go to Toronto. He's like, I couldn't do anything for another Italian team. He was Juventino through and through. Epic. The story about Dino Zoff and all the crap he had to go through, and everybody saying Zoff is awful and huge criticisms, and then obviously Zoff leading Italy to glory and whatnot. That particular tournament, Bettega was injured and couldn't be a part of. Otherwise, he would have been there as well. But his battle with tuberculosis as well, being his greatest victory and whatnot. So pretty wild stuff. But
Everyone should check it out.
yeah, it's
Fascinating
great
individual.
stuff. He's just a beauty, just a nice. I don't even know, like, talking to him before we even started recording and whatnot. And he's like, oh, whatever, man. He's like, I'm just another guy. I just played for Juve. I was like, yeah, but you scored a lot of goals for Juve too. He's like, well,
a bunch.
yeah. And I'm like,
right?
scored a lot of goals for Juve too. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, but the team was great. He always went back to the team. It was epic. Super humble, but cool. And we have a lot of great stuff coming up.
Stay tuned. And okay, I have a question for you before we start on the barn. What was the most irritating thing, the thing that like got you going off in the middle of this whole investigation? What was the craziest statement you've heard, or anything that really, hit a nerve for you?
During all these investigations and everything?
Yeah,
What hit a nerve? Almost all of it. But
but a specific thing that got you going off.
again, there's been so many. I have to think here.
Okay. So to get into the weeds a little bit, the one thing once it came out, which really, I guess, set me off to say what is going on here, is when the prosecution used the ACE transfer document as evidence of forgery, when the only thing that was changed was the address of both clubs. But they're saying that the dollar value changed, and it was an actual piece of evidence submitted. And it's like, who are these prosecutors putting something like that in? Because you could see it; it's out there. You can say, "Oh no, somebody just messed up on the address," but they used it as a piece of evidence to say. And that's the one I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
The part that probably for me infuriated me the most was the fact that, number one, the punishment was like instant, without a reason. And the part that infuriated me the most was when the reason came out, it wasn't actually a reason. There was no actual rule broken. That's the part that infuriated me the most. They had a meeting. They set a meeting to put guidelines out for a rule and couldn't even come up with a rule because there's no way to gauge a player's value. That's
and it was
the
2
part
months after that.
that infuriated me the most, and that it came out 2 months after, and still no action to clear our name, despite the fact that they can't come up with an actual rule that we violated. That's the part that infuriates me the most to this day.
Yeah.
And
My
it's a good one.
No, go ahead.
No, I just said, "Oh, that's a good one." That's pretty funny.
The part that got me was, I think it was Gravina who said it, that all teams should follow Napoli's way of working. That part annoyed me because Napoli are the ones with the
I don't remember
state of the art modern stadium and training grounds. Napoli are the ones who keep pumping tons of money to smaller teams in the league to keep them afloat and avoid bankruptcy. They were the ones who were for 10 years carrying the Italy flag in the Champions League, so we don't lose our fourth spot to France or anything. I mean, that was just way to point teams to the wrong way of doing stuff.
How how about the Juve lawyers? laying down the hammer on the fact that this 60 million euro garbage they're talking about represents like less than 4% of total
Come on,
money. Like,
if
how
you're a
about that?
lawyer,
That was absolutely beauty. Those numbers, unreal. Like, when they
if
laid it
you're a
out, it was like,
lawyer,
what are we talking about here?
if you're a lawyer outside of Italy and you get to defend Juve in this case, that's the easiest case you'll ever get.
Yeah.
It's only in Italy when I'm worried. If it was in any other countries, the lawyers would have, just too easy. Try
I want to
harder.
remind everybody, okay? And I will keep laying this out on social media everywhere. More racist incidents following Juve's with crickets, okay? So what did we see? We saw Napoli fans with the monkey chants for Rafael Leao. Crickets outside a hotel, whatever, anything. But was it blown up to the proportion if it was Juventini outside there? Absolutely not. It's a joke. Napoli throwing cups of urine at the San Siro from the stands. Absolutely disgusting. Okay. But Napoli, this guideline to follow. Give me a goddamn break. If you want to go down that route, FIGC, you're even stupider than I thought, because they're going to be a flash in the pan and gone as quick as they showed up this year. I guarantee you, everybody. Guarantee you. Napoli will be forgotten about very, very quickly. And it's like, what are we seeing out here? Best Italian side ever? Like for somebody to actually put that out there when you just had, you could pick any one of those 9 sides Juve had, and they were better. Any one of those 9 sides were better. And we're actually labeling this as the best Italian side. What are we even talking about? They just reached this stage of the Champions League for the first friggin' time. Best Italian side ever? How out of touch do you have to be to actually even make that a thing? How could you do that without being embarrassed to put that out there?
I mean, if you're 10 years old, you already have a counter argument to that statement, let alone the entire history of Italian football. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you can't take that seriously.
It's
normally
wild.
you gotta win a trophy first.
Yeah, they haven't won anything yet. That's interesting.
And to listen to the Chihuahuas talk about this dynasty, they're already labeling themselves a dynasty. Give me a break. Give me a break here. My God. You know what? To that headline, best Italian side ever.
I still
Not
can't
even
believe the fan
friggin'
clubs
close.
had a lawyer.
Juve had losing sides that were stronger than this. Come on. We had Serie A titles we couldn't win because Serie A was so strong. And our team was still better than this side. Get out of here.
Buzino would have a field day.
My God. Let's get to some
right
Storm the Barn before I puke thinking about that garbage.
Oh, I got him. I got him.
Was the beard... Moretti had a beard?
Honestly, I didn't see it.
I guess that would be a crime against humanity because I couldn't even... I thought he just maybe fell a bit and got a little bit of dirt on his face. I don't know.
It was grass. It was grass stains.
Yeah. That is a crime. That is a crime. I will label it, yes, as a crime. Because I couldn't even tell. Couldn't even tell. Storm the Barn questions. Get them in. Jeremiah,
We got limited time here.
What is it about Max that makes you guys absolutely furious with him as our manager, especially with performances on the pitch? I have many, to be honest. What makes me furious about Max? Okay.
Max doesn't make me furious. So.
He doesn't make you furious?
No.
He makes me furious in a sense that you have to address something that isn't working, and to continue to beat around the bush with it, with other things or your ideologies or anything like that. At the end of the day, it's about results and getting the job done. This team doesn't score enough goals. Period. Bottom line, nothing else to say about it. If you can't figure it out yourself, hire somebody to come in and work with you and be like, why is this team not scoring goals? Help me get this team to score goals. Like, swallow some pride, but figure it out for the better of the club, because what's happening hasn't been working. My like I get infuriated with his stubbornness, to be honest. That's what infuriates me about Max. Sometimes, not all the times. Omer?
To be honest, like we all kind of jumped on and off the Allegri train during the season because there were very bad periods, and then there were
Mm-hmm.
parts where he did great, and I both shit on him and praised him here on the podcast many times. So because he has things that he's done right, I don't think any other manager would have stayed with us after the minus 15, and he kind of rallied the troops and he did stabilize the back line to some degree. Yeah, it's not the BBC, big shock. You don't find Barzalis and Chiellinis everywhere, but still, he has his faults. The fact that he did something good doesn't mean he's just gets vindicated of the bad stuff that he's doing. And like what Al said, I mean, there is an evident problem of scoring goals, forming attacking scenarios, handling counterattacks, breaking out of press. There are tons of stuff that are just not working, and I don't even see slight improvements. And my worry is how many players are we going to lose until we realize the problem is with the system and not with the players themselves. Because we already lost a couple of great players. So that's my main issue with him. If we can figure out a way to work with the attack and make it better, fine, great. I don't expect 6 goals every match, but more than one per 2 matches.
Did we lose great players because of Max though?
I don't know if it's
Or
because Max himself, his personality, but his
right.
system, yes. Some players said that it's exactly that, and you can joke on them. But when more than one person says the same thing,
Okay.
you got to take it into account.
Yeah. So for me, we have a stretch here where we're a win, 2 losses, and a draw. We had the exact same stretch in January where it was Napoli, Monza, Atalanta, Monza, where we had the same stretch. But in between there, we had a good, consistent run. Did not score goals, concede that point. But we solidified the back line. The midfield has played like a midfield that we haven't seen in a long time. So keepers are fine, defense is fine, midfield, all those phases have improved, except the goal scoring. So is that on Max? Potentially. It's also on the players, right? I will say this. I've been a Max supporter this year. It's been wavy, as Omer said. But now there's literally no excuse. There's no more excuses. Keane's the only one that's not there. You can't say that Illing Jr. and Barnechea are, game changers. He has his full allotment of players. Pogba, at least Pogba can play 20 minutes off the bench. Okay, he doesn't have them for 90, but they're all available. So there really isn't any excuse for Max. But you're right, Al. Got to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And that's on the players too. That's just not on him.
It is on the players, but
Not
again,
only on him.
it's why I've been saying all year. It changes from game to game because some games, it's the players. Like if you have a ton of opportunities and all of a sudden you're not burying, that's on the players. But lately, we've gone back into some old habits.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping way too far, creating very, very little. And I don't know, I'm starting to see some signs of the attitude going back to what it was prior to. And I hope that changes tonight. It can't be like that tonight. So it has to be, everybody's got to be razor sharp, locked in, and focused. They got to get the job done today, no matter what. So we'll see what happens. But for me, the jury is very much still out and open on Max. But I just don't. Again, there's way too many uncertainties. We just have to see what happens. But if he can get the team firing, that's what I've been saying the whole time. This is the last piece of the puzzle. And to Ant's point, he's got no more excuses with all the top guys around. Mm-hmm. It's time to put up or shut up, basically.
And look, we talk about Max, and Omer just says, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this guy anymore.
Yeah. Max, he's out. Anyways, everybody, big one today. Let's hope the lads get it done. We are not going to be able to do a watch along, of course, midweek games. I'm at work. I would love to do a watch along for this one. But Sunday, those damn Chihuahuas, Napoli. Those little
It's a big one.
yappy Chihuahuas. That's going to be a big one. I will have a watch along. Of course, we're going to be live for that one. We're going to be live tomorrow tackling what goes down today. And we're still waiting for the verdict. Of course, again, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all your social media outlets. We'll keep you in the loop. Enjoy the game. I hope we have good, positive news to speak on multiple fronts, including this game tomorrow. All right, on the post-match podcast live, same time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Omer, and enjoy the game, fellas. All right, and like I say, I don't care how, just get us through. Okay, get into those semifinals, and let's take this thing one game, one day, and one step at a time. As always, fino alla fine, forza Juve, and I love this right here, 100% we will win. Bikram Jeet,
I like it.
my spirit animal of the day, all right? Absolutely love that. Let's get those 50 points and qualification to the semi-finals. Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Enjoy the game, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning live again. Ciao tutti.